What's going on YouTube? Thanks for tuning in. Today's video is going to be on a product review, and it's going to be on the Timney Daniel Horner DH3 trigger. This is their drop-in trigger from Timney. Full disclosure here, I did reach out to them and they were kind of send this out for me, so I just want to say thanks to Timney. They've always been a huge supporter of the channel and I greatly appreciate that. This video is going to be pretty short, just going to go over the specs and I'm going to install into my AR lower, do a few trigger pulls for you guys. If you guys want to see other Timney triggers, I do have them in my video list, so go ahead and check that out. So let's jump down closer and take a look at this. Alright, just going to do a quick unboxing for you guys. So here's the packaging. This is the DH3 Daniel Horner. If you guys don't know who he is a very, very good 3-gun shooter and sponsored by Timney. Timney triggers, they make really good triggers. Always been in business for over 75 years. So that is the SKU number, or UPC. I've always been pretty impressed by Timney's packaging. Everything is always nice and uniform. So inside the box here, you can get the trigger itself, then a manual. You guys can go ahead and read that if you guys like. So the trigger itself and an Allen screw. So just looking at this trigger here, this is compatible with all military spec built AR lowers, also the SIG MCX and the SIG MPX. This will also fit. This is self-contained, so it's the cassette style, so you can actually just drop this right into your lower without any modifications. This is a 2-stage trigger. I'll show you guys how that works here in a bit. Adjustable from 1.5 to 3 pounds. The material this is made out of is 6061 T6 alloy that is CNC machined. The trigger here is also CNC machined, heat treated and coated. So the sear here is A2 tool steel and the disconnect is S7 tool steel. And everything is also heat treated to 5860 Rockwell and Teflon coated for lubricity and longevity. So everything here, like I said, is going to be a pretty basic video. As you guys have seen in my other Timney videos, this here is a drop-in style, meaning that you just drop this in, put your pins in and you're good to go. On top here, inside, I'm not sure if you guys can see, but there's 2 little Allen screws. You're going to back those out. Because if you look here on the bottom, that's where it's going to sit inside your lower. Put this in, tighten it down, and what these 2 screws is going to do, it's going to bite down into the lower and then it's going to put pressure on these 2 pins and then you should be all set to go. So looking at the hammer here, everything seems to be nice and machined. The craftsmanship by Timney has always been top notch. As you guys can see, that sear and hammer does sit a little higher compared to a traditional mil spec where it sits inside of the trigger housing here. And then if you guys look on top here, that's going to be your adjustment screw. So to adjust this trigger is relatively pretty simple. As you guys can see on top of here, there's a hole. You're going to drop this into your AR15, put everything together, and if you look from the top of the AR15 lower, you can actually see the adjustment screw. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you tighten this down, it's going to increase the weight, and then if you loosen it, it's going to decrease the weight. We're actually going to test that here in a bit. So we're going to go ahead and install this into the AR15 lower, and then we're going to do a few pulls for you guys. Alright, and we're back. There it is, installed. Relatively simple, took me a couple minutes. Again, just got to make sure that when you tighten down these set screws down here, you tighten them evenly. That way it's got equal pressure on both sides. As you can see, it sits in there nice and uniform. Everything's cut out perfectly. Just make sure you guys function test to make sure the reset works and the trigger works. Now, most importantly, the safety. Make sure that works too. So like I mentioned, this is a 2-stage trigger, so with the trigger in the resting position, you're going to get the first take up, which is this. Just very, very, very small. It almost feels like it's got play in the trigger, but it's actually not. That's the first stage. And then when you go ahead and pull the trigger engages, and then the reset. So we'll go ahead and do that again here. It's kind of hard to do this on camera. So there's the first stage, and then second stage, and then the reset. Very short reset there. So we can get this installed on the upper, and then we're going to do field trigger pulls for you guys to see what this is reading. So we're going to be using my handy dandy Lyman trigger gauge. And I got everything mounted up. Just got to make sure the weapon is clear. Nothing in the chamber, no magazine. So there it is. We're going to clear it out. Get ready. That's 1.75. Again, I'm going to be pulling from the bottom of the trigger. 1.47. It's relatively pretty light. I'm going to actually adjust this a little bit here after this third pull. 1.31 with an average of 1.5 pounds. That's relatively pretty light. I'm actually going to adjust this a little higher. I'm going to probably try to get into like the 2.5 pound range. This is a little too light for my liking. So we'll go ahead and do that here shortly, and we'll come back and show you guys a few more trigger pulls. Alright, so I'm back from adjusting the trigger. So what I did was, you guys look right there. That's the trigger adjustment screw. You're going to take the Allen wrench that comes with the packaging, turn it clockwise to have more poundage, decrease it to have less poundage. It does have a pin up here. It's really hard to tell. A really tiny pin right on top, the tiny hole, that is actually a roll pin that's holding in the Allen screw. Do not take that out, otherwise the screw can back out. Alright, so we're back. We're going to do a few pulls for this. I did adjust this to the right clockwise, so that should increase the poundage on this. So, can make sure the weapon is clear, put in a safe direction, and we will go ahead and take an average here. .05. .158, relatively close to that 2 pound range. .52 with an average of 2 pounds, 1.8 ounces. I'm going to leave it at that for now. I'm going to do some testing with it. It does feel a little heavier than before, not as light. Sorry that my battery died. So again, this trigger here measures at 2 pounds. So there's the first stage. Nice clean break. Another reset. Nice and short. And you're right back at the wall. Good to go. Do a few more close-ups of that for you guys here. Again, that average was 2.18. Alright, brought you guys a little closer just to do a few more pulls for you guys. So as I mentioned, this is the first stage. Nice clean break. It's going to be hard to do this because I'm not left-handed. Alright. And then reset. Really audible, really short, really tactile. You're back on the wall again. And then you're good to go. Let's do it one more time here. Got 2 stage. That's the first stage. Break. Break. So there it is. The Timney trigger. We'll jump up top, give my final thoughts, and we'll go from there. So that there is the Daniel Horner Timney trigger. This is the flat face trigger. Again, I suppose I thanks to Timney for sending this out for me to do a review. Without them, I cannot make these videos. Really good support of the channel. Go ahead and check them out. Link is in the link tree description below. So what are my thoughts on this trigger? Initially, everything seems to be really well machined. I do like the 2-stage and being able to adjust the trigger. A lot of Timney's triggers are set from the factory, but this one here you can actually adjust, which is what I wanted. It's going to be going on my home defense gun against air precision lower with the Midwest Industries upper. Go with this scope here in the near future. Monstrum Tactical did send this out for me to do a review as well, so keep an eye out for that video. This scope mount is American Defense Manufacturing. They sent me 3 or 4 scope mounts, which I'll be doing a review for you guys as well. Keep an eye out for that. Just been super busy with family and the house and everything. Gonna be doing a zero test on this scope mount here in the near future. Hunting season just right around the corner, so hopefully that does not impede with anything. Again, Daniel Horner DH3 competition trigger. Go ahead and check them out. Price on this is relatively pretty high. It's about 300 bucks. So take that as what it is if you want to spend that much on a trigger. For me, everything is well worth the money. The mil-spec triggers, in my opinion, are just there so you can use it. It's doable, but if you want a more precise shooting gun, better feeling trigger, go ahead and check out Timney triggers. But that's all I have for you guys. Any questions in the comment section below? I'll try my best to answer them. Until next time, be safe, everyone.